Hey guys, welcome to my tasting. So my first style that I'm doing is an Irish Stout. So I decided to go with the classic Guinness draft in a can. Being that this brewery has been around for about 250 years, there is a ton of history around the beer. So I thought I would just touch on a couple of those points before getting into the tasting portion. Um, so although Guinness has been making and exporting beer since the late 1700s, the beers that they were exporting back then would closer resemble the Guinness that we tasted in class last week. So the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. So a lot heavier, thicker, full bodied, big beers, unlike the Guinness draft that we know and love and have on tap everywhere. Um, the first Guinness, like the one that we know, the Nitro Pour, was created back in 1959. A guy named Michael Ash created the Nitro Pour. A couple other facts about them. They were the first brewery to employ scientists to help perfect their beer. So they were the first brewery to have a sensory quality analysis team to constantly trying to improve their beer, the shelf life, the flavor, make sure it was perfect every time. That guy Michael Ash was one of those guys. So that was in 1959 as well when they started doing that. Today, Guinness is sold in 150 countries around the world. Guinness themselves own 5 breweries around the world, those being in Ireland, of course, the UK, Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon. Another point I want to touch on is an invention these guys debuted back in 1988, that being the can widget. So the ball inside the Guinness can that creates the nitro pour and makes you able to have those nitro beers at home. So a quick snippet about that I found while researching. So back in 1991, the Guinness Rocket widget, as it's called, was awarded the Queen's Award for the best technological advancement in the previous 40 years, meaning it beat the internet as a technological advancement. And that was voted for by the people of Britain. So they really liked their Guinness. Let's see. So I actually just took one of these cans and just cut it up so that I could show you the widget and kind of tell you how it works. So it's kind of just like a ping pong ball, but smaller, and it's got a tiny, tiny hole here. I can hardly even see it. It's really small. So the beer in the can is a mix of CO2 and nitrogen. Fill the can and then fill this ball with nitrogen as well. When they put this in the can, it's in there, so the hole is kind of in the beer. They put a drop of liquid nitrogen inside the can before they seal it. That pressurizes the can, and as the pressure increases as the can is sitting, it forces the nitrogen and some of the beer slowly into here. So this just becomes like a super compressed nitrogen ball. When you crack the can open, the pressure inside the can drops, which forces all the nitrogen out of this ball. It mixes with the CO2 that is dissolved in the beer, and that creates that thick foamy head with the tiny, tiny little bubbles that you can hardly even see, which is what you're looking for when you have one of these beers. So let's go ahead and taste it. I have a English style pint here. Typically, I believe you would use a Nonic pint when drinking Irish Stout, which is the one that's kind of straight cylindrical with a bubble edge and then cylindrical again, like what you would have at Hogshead. But this is what I'm working with. So we're going to use this. This is a 16 ounce, so it should be fine. So you can hear all the air being released. Lots of bubbles there. Pour it into our glass. It says on the side of the can to pour at a 45-degree angle. So that's what I'm doing. And it's perfect. And you can see it's just cascading and all the little tiny bubbles are coming up to the top to form the thick, creamy head that you look for in this type of beer. I'll give this a minute to kind of settle out, do it so you can see it. Another thing I saw when I was researching this beer is that 12 ounces of Guinness is actually less calories than 12 ounces of orange juice or skim milk, so it's good for you. Right, yeah, you can see it's creating like a thick, you can tell right there, it's just like a thick, creamy head. It looks just like if you were to get it poured on draft. Awesome. So let's start our tasting here. Give it a sniff. Definitely get some cocoa, not like sweet chocolate, like a milk chocolate, but more like a cacao or like the cocoa powder that you like a baking chocolate. A little bit of like roasted coffee, but maybe like coffee if you were to put milk in it, like a cafe con leche kind of thing. Definitely a little sweet. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's almost black. I don't know if you can see. It looks like it's almost black until you hold it up to the light and you can see it's got like dark ruby colors in there. Yeah, like definitely some ruby highlights in there. And as you can see, that head is just like not dissipating at all. It's just staying perfect. Let's give it a taste. Yeah, it's good. It tastes like definitely chocolate, a little bit coffee, the cream, definitely creamy, smooth, really creamy, smooth mouthfeel without being heavy. Definitely getting a little bit of the hops now. I don't really smell the hops, but there's a little bit of a bitter linger. Not like a citrusy, fruity kind of hop linger, but more like an earthy, yeah, just an earthy kind of hop, kind of like green coffee beans kind of thing. It definitely tastes a little sweeter than it smells, I think. I taste a little bit more of the maybe milk chocolate notes rather than the bitter harsh chocolate. But definitely really tasty. The mouthfeel is the best part. I mean, that's why you get the nitro can, is because you want that smooth, creamy beer without being heavy. So it's good. All right, I think that's gonna conclude my tasting. Thank you guys for watching. I can't wait to see all of yours too.